Greetings, everyone. This is Terry Naturally with another edition of Terry Talks Nutrition. We're here every Saturday and Sunday morning from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. You can listen locally like many of you are, but also people outside of our listening area. If they are aware of our radio programming on health and nutrition, they can join us by going to my website, terrytalksnutrition.com. There they can listen live or also on demand. If you listen live, you will have to adjust your times wherever you are around the world to be on the same time we are here in the Central Standard Time in the USA. But also all of our shows are archived on our website that you can listen anytime you want at your convenience. And also our newsletter that we send out every Friday to your email address. Subscribe to it on the website, or you can read many of the past newsletters that we have archived on the e-newsletter section of the newsletter. Our whole purpose is to provide information on health and nutrition, because there's not many places you can find really good quality information on diet, exercise, health, nutrition, supplements, because drug companies don't want you to know that. They don't want you healthy. And diet can absolutely make you healthy. And diet is the only medicine that we should be using rather than drugs. Now, I'm not saying you should not take your drugs. If doctors have prescribed medication for you, the only doctors that can relieve you of that medication are the doctors you are working with. So don't go off drugs because Terry said so. I didn't say so. I don't know you, and I don't know what drugs you're on, and I don't want to be responsible for pulling the carpet out from under you. You may need drugs at some point. They are life-saving. But diet and nutrition, the food you eat, is the only medicine we should really try to include in our regimen. And supplements to fill in the gap that has been lost in some of the foods today that are being genetically modified, grown without subsidizing minerals back into the soil. Our soil is depleted. Our foods are not growing for nutrition. They're growing for profit. And they'll do anything to make the foods more profitable. And then we depend on prepared and packaged foods that are far from really being food. We only need natural food. That doesn't mean anything that's in a box. A few things maybe like dairy products might be in a box. But basically speaking, when they prepare foods that only include white flour, sugar, vegetable oils, coloring, and flavoring, is not food. We need really good quality animal proteins, lots of fruits and vegetables, healthy oils, and really not much else. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you want to really make some changes. Because food, when well chosen to the best of our ability and our budget, can change your health, can change your life. So we're here always to provide information for you that you can make those healthy choices. And today we're going to be talking about how to repair your joints. Arthritic joints. What do you need to do to repair and restore healthy joints? If there's not too much damage to the joint, there's a good possibility of living a very good life free of pain, joint pain. Then we're going to talk about my new company. It's called TTN Publishing, Terry Talks Nutrition Publishing, and why I have done this. A new study that includes saffron, the most expensive spice in the world, and how saffron can make you sleep better. And then we'll have a little bit of information on Lyme disease and what can you do for Lyme disease. And you know what? When you eat a lot of sugar, it increases your appetite and you hunger for more food. And if you don't get more food when you're hungry, then you get hangry. And the nutrient of the day is calcium lactate. It sounds like it contains milk, but it does not. It's not a dairy source of calcium. And then there are 3 unsuspected signs that your thyroid is under-functioning and needs nutritional help. So let's go on to our first subject of the day, how to repair your damaged and painful joints. And there are 3 steps for fixing arthritic joints that we're going to be helping you understand more about how to make those changes. So step 1, the number 1 cause of all disease, I would say, let's say 98%. I'll leave 2% in there for a genetic condition. Only 2%. So you can't say, oh, it runs in the family. I have heart disease, I will have heart disease because my grandmother had it, my grandfather had it, my dad had it. I know I am going to have it too because it runs in the family. That only accounts for 2% of diseases. It does not run in the family. The diet and the lifestyle choices that we have adopted from our grandparents and great-grandparents have influenced our diseases and sickness. So 98% of all disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, osteo and rheumatoid, type 2 diabetes, weight gain. Just because your mother's overweight doesn't mean you're going to be overweight. And cancer. All these diseases that really make up all of the reasons why Americans see their physician for drugs is based on our lifestyle choices. What you and I do every day influences our health. Our health doesn't deteriorate because God is mad at us, or because we're one of those most unfortunate people to be in the category of heart disease or cancer. We're doing the wrong things to create the wrong things. And we can change that. The 2 most important functions that we need to deal with is to reduce oxidative stress and the ensuing inflammation. All disease has an underlying factor of inflammation. Why do people die from COVID-19? Because of inflammation. It created such a cytokine storm that it caused inflammation. In this case, with the joints, we need to do the same thing, reduce inflammation. The synovium is the lining of the inner surface of the joint, where lubricating fluid and synovial fluid is produced, which keeps our joints lubricated. And when we have inflammation of the synovium, is the first step in developing arthritis. And that happens long before any visible cartilage degeneration, or you can feel it, because damage has to be done over a period of time before you know it. You can drive your car for a long time, abuse it, use the wrong oil, the wrong fuel, whatever. And as your car, over a period of time, then it starts breaking down. It doesn't break down the first day when you make a change. It takes months or years. And it takes decades for us to have arthritis. But in some cases, because of what we are doing dietary-wise and occupationally wise, we can increase more inflammation to make it happen faster. In a recent study, inflammatory leukotrienes, these are compounds that are made by a pathway called the 5-LUX pathway. We have two pathways in our body that are significantly related to why we have inflammation and pain. There's the COX-2 pathway, which many drug companies have come out with drugs to inhibit, block, prevent the COX-2 enzyme, which then does lower pain. But it does it too drastically, and in cases there are many people that have died from heart disease and strokes from drugs that inhibit the COX-2 enzyme or pathway. That pathway produces prostaglandins. These compounds, when they increase and are overly active, they cause pain. They cause inflammation. And then there is a pathway called the 5-LUX, LOX, and that pathway produces leukotrienes. And these leukotrienes were 5 times higher in arthritic joints versus healthy joints. We have too many of these compounds being produced in the body. And that's because it is influenced by our activities and our diet. 98% of all of our diseases is caused by lifestyle choices, which you and I can have a huge influence in changing our diet, increasing our activity gently so that we don't damage our joints, like excessive running on concrete, running marathons. I have seen too many people being significantly affected by overly running. Running is not my choice, or do I ever recommend running to anyone. There are much better exercises to include strengthening your joints and bones, and also give you a cardio effect as well. And multiple studies have found significantly higher levels of inflammatory, which is called the CRP biomarker in the body, which stands for C-reactive protein. And when the C-reactive protein is high in people, they will have arthritis or other inflammatory processes versus healthy controls, healthy people. It's a vicious cycle. Chronic inflammation. And that is the bottom line of all disease. Reduce inflammation. Why do we have inflammation? I'll get to that. Hang on, don't go away. Chronic inflammation of the joints leads to tissue damage, which leads to more inflammation. And many NSAIDs, drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, like ibuprofen, acetaminophen, they will relieve your pain temporarily, but they actually make your joints more susceptible to damage. They damage your joints over time. Now, one of the most important herbs is boswellia. Boswellia is a powder that's made from the sap of a tree or a resin of a tree. There's trees in India, South Africa, and other areas in that region. They're called Boswellia, Boswellia. And they have found a resin that they can extract from the bark of the tree, and they collect that resin off the surface of the bark, and they put it into a powdered form, which reduces inflammation. Boswellia, in fact, there is no drug today, there's no drug today that has any effect on leukotrienes or the 5-lux pathway. Drug companies have not come up with an answer how to reduce the 5-lux overexpression of leukotrienes. But Boswellia reduces inflammatory leukotrienes and reduces the C-reactive protein levels, lowers inflammation. Here's a study. 4-month clinical trial of Boswellia versus a placebo in people with arthritis. The results of that study was a 43% reduction in pain. Better than drugs, and maybe equally to drugs. But here is a natural substance, side effect free, causes no liver, stomach, or intestinal damage, and it does as well as a drug. 43% reduction in pain for the Boswellia group versus no change in the placebo group. In a study comparing Boswellia plus using physical therapy versus just using physical therapy alone in people with arthritis in their hands, the Boswellia group experienced a faster and better relief of pain. And their ability to use their hands increased more than the physical therapy group alone. So if you're going through physical therapy, that's great. It's okay. It has some purpose. But it doesn't do very much to relieve pain. Where Boswellia relieves highest concentration of pain, 43%. When they did these studies, you have two groups of subjects, of patients. The one group used only physical therapy. The other group used Boswellia. And there's always highlights or bonuses when you use natural herbs or alternatives. Because additionally, no one in the Boswellia group chose to take additional medication. They had been on medication, and during the study, they were allowed to, if they were not doing well with Boswellia, they could take their medication during the study to relieve their conditions. It's called rescue medication. But no one taking Boswellia chose to take additional rescue medication. While 35% of the physical therapy group had to go back on their NSAID or their medication or their steroids to control pain and stiffness. So physical therapy will get you back on the track if you've had an operation. If you had surgery, a hip operation or a knee operation, you do have to have physical therapy. But then take a natural substance like Boswellia. Now, number 2 in this 3-step process of relieving your pain of your joints and repairing your joints. Yes, you can repair your joints if you haven't gone so far to have bone on bone. So the next thing is to stop the destruction and damage to the cartilage. We have cartilage between our bones. The cartilage is smooth and slippery. It is the cushion between the bones. That keeps the bones from causing friction. When you have bone on bone, you have pain almost constantly. But this cushion is like a little pillow. And there's a pillow between your bones. If you look at your knee, you've got a bone meeting a bone. You've got a joint between the two bones. And there's a pillow or cushion that sits between the bones to prevent friction of bone-on-bone damage. But that cushion or pillow can be destroyed. And then you have a serious arthritic condition. When the cartilage becomes damaged and wears away, it leads to constant pain and stiff joints. Now, what causes cartilage damage? And how can you preserve it? And how can you restore it once it's gone? Well, the first thing is an injury, trauma. I lift weights all my life. And 30 years ago, about that time, I was doing overhead presses. And I was doing, maybe 6 or 7 overhead presses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I got to a point, they say, no pain, no gain. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. You have to stop before you get to the last rep. I didn't stop because I thought, well, I can eke out one more rep. And I became so exhausted that I lost the weight behind my back, which tore my my muscle in my shoulder, pectoral muscle, and I've kind of split apart my shoulder joint. I had physical therapy. I took pain-relieving natural herbals for my shoulder, and my shoulder is, from trauma, very, very damaged. But I have no pain. And I've had orthopedic surgeons look at my shoulder, and I said to them, what happens when the shoulder gets more damaged or more deteriorated? They said, Terry, it can't. You're at the point already where it can't get any more damage than it is. But I don't have any pain because I am taking things like glucosamine and chondroitin and boswellia and curcumin. I'm taking the things that make a shoulder or any joint better. And I'm getting older, and I have no pain. I sleep all night. I don't have any problems turning over. I don't have any problems with my joint, even though that is severely damaged from the trauma of losing the weight behind me. So when you think about trauma and injury, it can be anything. Car accident, athletes, anything that can actually cause so much trauma to a joint or an injury. And then if you are constantly having low levels of the building blocks for new cartilage formation, you can't have a car work without the building blocks, the gas, the oil. You need things for an engine to work. And if you don't take care of it, that engine is not going to work. So if we don't take the necessary building block for new cartilage formation, and then also we have to think of our immune system. Why do we think of our immune system when we're thinking about our joints? Isn't the immune system to prevent damage? Like in a viral infection? Of course. But the immune system has many different functions. In fact, when it malfunctions, the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own cartilage cells in osteoarthritis and also an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis. So here's how we can stop. We can stop the destruction with a form of cartilage or collagen, and it's called native type 2 collagen. So collagen is very important for cartilage formation. And the only one, there's many forms of collagen. It's good for the skin, it's good for the muscles, it's good for a lot of different functions. But only type 2. So if you're taking all kinds of collagen and you're not taking a high level of type 2, you're not rebuilding the cartilage formation. And collagen type 2 is very important for cartilage formation. What native type 2 collagen does, it teaches the immune system to stop attacking the joints so that they can be repaired and rebuilt. It stops the damage in its track. So you want to take native type 2. There's type 1, there's type 3, there's others. But it's only the type 2, but you have to get a supplement that has a high level of type 2. Here is a clinical study involving acetaminophen, or the brand is called Tylenol, and this was just subjects, 2 groups of patients, split in half. Half took just acetaminophen. The other group took the same drug, acetaminophen, Tylenol, but plus type 2 collagen for the repair of knee osteoarthritis. So here's the results of the study. 50% of the patients took acetaminophen. The other 50% took acetaminophen and type 2 collagen during this study. They were studying overall pain, the effects of pain while walking, and time to walk a set distance. They were the 3 parameters. Now, those that were taking just acetaminophen, they had 22% increase in pain. Even though they were taking a drug, it didn't ease the pain, it actually increased the pain. And that causes many people buying over-the-counter Tylenol, otherwise known as acetaminophen, to take more than recommended on the label. And I know many people buy products off the shelf and thinking that it must be pretty safe because they allow me to buy it over the counter. I don't need a prescription. That's hogwash. Acetaminophen, Tylenol, is the number 1 cause of liver failure in the United States. It's responsible for more liver damage and liver replacements than any other substance. 22% increase in pain when taking acetaminophen. Now, those in the study that were taking the acetaminophen, hang on, folks, I just got the message. I've got to take a break. I'll be back here in just a few seconds. Don't go away. This is really, really very important for you here. So stay right where you are. I am Terry Naturally, and this is Terry Talks Nutrition. And welcome back, my friends. I'm sorry that I had to break so quickly. I get so wound up in some of this information because it is so critical. And it's so mind-blowing that natural alternatives can be more effective than drugs and proven in studies. Like type 2, like boswellia. Amazing. So sometimes I get so wound up that I don't watch the clock and then I get a signal to break, and I'm sorry that I just had to rush out and come in with the second half of the program. So we're here to the top of the hour. I'm glad I can share more information with you so we can wrap up this topic and go on to more. We have a lot of good information for you. But we're talking about a study on joint pain and joint repair. And we're talking about 3 parameters of the study. How can we reduce overall pain? How can we have less pain when walking? And how can we walk longer, a longer distance without pain. We started with two groups of people. Half of those subjects, patients, took only acetaminophen as their drug, not of choice, but that's the drug they were put on to see how it would work against a combination of acetaminophen plus type 2 collagen. Those subjects that took just Tylenol, their pain actually increased by a factor of 22%. The patient taking acetaminophen, Tylenol, plus type 2 collagen, their pain decreased 25%. Now, those that were experiencing pain when walking, on the drug, there was no change. They had just as much pain walking as they did before. Nothing changed. For those taking acetaminophen and type 2 collagen, 50% decrease in pain while walking. They walked better. They had less pain. I have less pain in my shoulder. I don't have any pain in my shoulder. But it is a terrible wreck from the trauma of losing 170 pounds behind my back. Really screwed up my joint. So sometimes being stupid, you suffer for the consequences. But even though I was stupid, I'm smart enough to know what to take, so I don't have any pain. So 50% decrease in pain while walking. And then how far could a patient walk without pain? In the acetaminophen group, the Tylenol group, no change. In the acetaminophen type 2 collagen combination, there was a 7% decrease in time needed to walk a distance without pain. So the combination of the drug and the type 2 collagen gave the best results. Now, step 3. Let's provide the building blocks for healthy joints. Now, this is what I have done. I do take a blend of collagen, hyaluronic acid, glucosamine, chondroitin, and type 2 collagen. These are the building blocks for a healthy joint, wherever it is. I don't care where it is in the body. We're talking about how to improve and restore health to the joint and reduce pain. Hyaluronic acid acts as a lubricator and a shock absorber in the joint. So that's in the formula that I like to use. Then there is glucosamine and chondroitin, the basic building blocks for collagen and cartilage, along with type 2 collagen. Chondroitin has been shown in clinical studies to decrease cartilage loss in joints. Glucosamine has been found to reduce pain and stiffness associated with arthritis. Now, these are not anti-inflammatories, so they don't relieve pain. So I also take a pain-relieving combination, which is made up of black sesame seed oil, curcumin, and boswellia. So that reduces any pain. And I have no pain. But they don't build the cartilage. So then the combination I like is hyaluronic acid, glucosamine, chondroitin, a little extra boswellia, and type 2 collagen. In a comparison study, glucosamine plus chondroitin reduced pain, swelling from arthritis as effectively as Celebrex. And that is the drug of choice by doctors to patients that have arthritis. And this natural combination was without any side effects or significant adverse effect. So here's how to keep your joints healthy, to prevent damage, and if there is any damage, to rebuild the joint. But you have to have the building blocks. I just gave you the building blocks. According to recent data, 80% of people with arthritis have movement limitations. They can't open up a jar. They can't twist off the cover of the jar with their hands. They can't do certain flexibilities. They're stiff, they're tight. So they have movement limitations. They can't get down on the floor on their hands and knees to play with the kids without pushing themselves up out of a table or a chair to get back up again. And 25% cannot perform major activities of daily living. Even, for example, such minor things, they cannot brush their hair. They cannot use the toilet. Picking up something off the floor is agony. So to keep your joints moving easily, here's what I take. 40.5 milligrams of native type 2 collagen, 450 milligrams of boswellia, and a combination of glucosamine, chondroitin, hyaluronic acid, about 1,740 milligrams. So this is my special little regimen I take to improve my joint structure, prevent any further damage of all my joints, and I reduce the pain with a combination of black sesame seed oil, curcumin, and boswellia. You can restore your joints back to much better health than you ever thought possible. And if you don't choose something like this that's natural, drugs will help relieve some pain, but they're not as effective as natural alternatives, and they actually cause more damage to the joints. Now, I like giving you more information on how you can improve your health, your entire body, everything, and how you can prevent disease, reverse disease, and restore health to your body. Now, I love doing my radio show. I love to try to get information to you, but we only have a short period of time. An hour goes by so fast. So I started a company called TTN Publishing, LLC. It stands for Terry Talks Nutrition Publishing. So it's a way for me to build a health library for you with the company, with the publishing company. So I'm writing books. It was my goal to open up this company, publishing company, at the beginning of 2021. And my goal was to write 10 books this year on a variety of topics. And I priced these books at a very, very low price, just to break even. And sometimes we make these books even available at 99 cents. Because I can spend a lot of time with you, but not enough time. When you read a book, you gain a lot more benefit. I love reading books. I don't like to read Kindle, or I don't like to read on the internet. I like to read paper. I like to read books. I can mark them up. I can write in them. I highlight them. I learn more from books than any other source. So I have 5 great titles published already this year. I have a 6th one almost ready to be published. It's being just wrapped up. All the editing is being just wrapped up. So I really have 5 great titles on how powerful natural medicines can change your life. I wrote a book, and I've selected doctors and PhDs to help me write these books. I wanted to get their take. These are experts in various fields of alternative medicine that can, I have no background. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a scientist. I don't have any degrees. But these experts who have become my friends from around the world are co-authoring these books with me. So I wrote a book on French grapeseed extract and what French grapeseed extract can do for you. And I wrote this book with Dr. Ajay Goyal, who is the senior member of the cancer clinic at City of Hope Hospital in Los Angeles. He heads up about 40 research scientists at the City of Hope Cancer Center, and they were doing research on colon cancer with natural alternatives. Then I wrote a book on endographis, one of the most powerful herbs for viral infection, upper respiratory tract infection, colon flu, liver disease, many, many other conditions. And I teamed up with Dr. Alexander Panosian, a PhD that is the most knowledgeable doctor on adaptogens. And he lives in Sweden. Then I wrote a book on melatonin, and you just got to read this book on melatonin. It's not just for sleep. Melatonin has had 28,000 studies conducted on using melatonin for all kinds of diseases. It is a very powerful antioxidant, very powerful anti-inflammatory. It is a powerful antiviral. It has been used in several really high-quality studies on COVID-19. And then a book on Hintonia lactiflora, which is for blood sugar level. I teamed up with Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum to write the book on low blood sugar, diabetes type 2. Then I wrote another book on relieve pain, all pain, without side effects. And I teamed up with Dr. Jan McBaron, a medical doctor who lives in Las Vegas. And then I put together a book which I call 50 plus natural health secrets. So there's more than 50 of these natural herbs and molecules that can change your life. So check out all my books. Each one has a valuable insight to help you live a thriving, healthy life. You can buy these books simply by searching my name, Terry Lemerond, Lemerond, in the book section at Amazon.com, or click on TTN Publishing, or you can also go to terrynaturalvitamins.com. And the TTN Publishing is on terrytalksnutrition.com. They're very inexpensive and can change your life cheaper than any drug, and will give you back more for your health than any drug will. Now here's a new study. Saffron, S-A-F-F-R-O-N, saffron, the most expensive spice in the world, now has been researched and studied for sleep. How to ease anxiety and get more sleep. Clinical trial on a saffron has proven extremely successful and effective. 66 adult men and women with mild to moderate insomnia as well as anxiety. Now here we take 66, divide them in half. 33 in each group. Half were treated with saffron with a glass of water in the evening, and half received a placebo with a glass of water for 6 weeks. All of the subjects, all of the patients wore monitors to track their sleep cycle and patterns. And they filled out questionnaires to report their sleep quality. And the result of this study of the 66 adult men and women, the placebo group decreased their amount of sleep, decreased the amount of time spent sleeping, while the saffron group increased their time sleeping. The saffron group also experienced improved ability to fall asleep, have a better degree of sleep quality, less pain associated with sleep. So here is something that you can try that would mimic what was used in the study. 15 milligrams of saffron and 250 milligrams of curcumin BCM 95 twice daily. So a combination of saffron and curcumin, one twice daily. We're kind of running out of time. I have to watch my schedule because I don't want to get you involved in a really good subject and then race through it. But I want to do a little bit on Lyme disease, but I think I might hold that for another show. Sorry about doing that, but I need to have a little bit more time on cruising through some of this information for you. I have some really excellent topics. The thyroid gland really needs some help. We can talk more about, let's talk a little bit about calcium. That might be a really good subject for us. Calcium lactate. It's a different kind of calcium not many people know about. It's one of my favorite sources. But you got to remember that calcium is not just for your bones. Although 99% of calcium is stored in our bones, the remaining 1% that is found in our blood and tissues is still very important. Calcium is needed to help strengthen the surface of the mucous membranes. That's all in your oral cavities. If you put your finger in your mouth and you touch the wet surfaces of your mouth inside, those are mucous membranes. Some are wet, some are dry. Your skin is a mucous membrane that's dry. And these mucous membranes form a wall to keep out bacteria and viruses. When calcium is depleted from the tissues, the mucous membranes weakens and viruses can penetrate through the damaged mucous membrane. Calcium is also important for muscle contraction and nerve function. The result of low depleted tissue calcium levels will cause cold sores and fever blisters, as well as muscle cramps, dry cough, and people that can burn easily, sunburn easily. And these dry coughs, especially in kids, because we only have 1% of the calcium in our soft tissue, in our flesh, in our muscles. So we don't have this, and easily, if we eat a diet that is very high in acid-forming foods, we become more acidic. Then calcium is drawn out of the bones and the soft tissue, and it loses more in the soft tissue because there's only 1% there. And then that's when we have cold sores and fever blisters, as well as muscle cramps, day or night, and dry cough, especially in kids. So what depletes calcium from the soft tissues? Number one, stress. Stress creates a depletion of calcium in the soft tissue. And sugar in all acid foods. That's why a lot of fruit and vegetables, which are alkalizing, will help balance off the acid part of the foods, like meat is acid. But it's not damaging to the body if we balance off the portion of meat that we eat with lots of fruits and vegetables. Sugar is one of the most damaging acidic components of our, I don't like to say diet, because sugar should never be in our diet. But it creates an acid environment in our body. And we eat a lot of sugar, which then requires calcium to neutralize and buffer the acidity of the acid foods that we're eating. So it's constantly pulling calcium out of the soft tissue and bones. Sudden exposure to sun. When you go out on the beach and you get a sunburn, that's because you lost all the calcium in your soft tissue. I have some very good friends who are very blonde, very fair-skinned, light white, and they go to the beach, but they take calcium lactate, and they do not burn. I have a friend that went to Mexico with her whole family. They did a reunion in Mexico. She is blonde as blonde and white as white. She took calcium lactate. She did not burn at all. And everybody else in the family burned from the sun because they did not have enough calcium in the soft tissue of the body. So think of someone else that you know, from Wisconsin probably, traveling to Mexico, or some other, could be Egypt, it could be the Maldives, anywhere where there's a lot of sun, and they're going on their winter vacation. You need to take calcium lactate with some of the other synergistic factors. Sun triggers a burst of vitamin D. And vitamin D sends calcium to the bones, leaving less of the soft tissue if you are calcium insufficient or deficient. So you're losing more calcium in the soft tissue when you get out in the sun. So it's necessary to replenish with calcium lactate. Very specific antiviral form of calcium. It's impossible, I shouldn't say impossible, but 99.9%, you will not have a viral infection if you take enough calcium lactate. But used in combination with magnesium and zinc, which are prevention and treatment of cold sores and fever blisters, prevents sunburn, relieves muscle cramps and restless legs, stop dry nighttime cough, especially in kids. So the dosage is 250 milligrams of calcium lactate with 50 milligrams of magnesium and 6 milligrams of zinc, up to 4, 5, 6 tablets daily. With that, my friends, I'm all out of time, so I've got to run. So we'll be here tomorrow, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Say a prayer for this crazy, insane world. God bless you, my friends. God bless America.